Welcome back to Ici Arts. Today I'm sitting down with artist Ghada Jamal, whose work explores the timeless connection between people and the land they inhabit. For decades, Jamal has captured landscapes, memories, and the emotional layers of Lebanon, including the impact of war and collective experiences. Her art has been exhibited across the United States, Europe, and the Middle East, and is part of prestigious permanent collections. Beyond her studio practice, she continues to mentor emerging artists and contribute to the art community through juries and public projects. Ghada, welcome to Ici Arts. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
So glad to be here with you, Leah.
Ghada, you left Lebanon during the Civil War and you continued painting the war from California. What made you want to focus on war in particular in your practice?
Yeah, I left Lebanon in 87, but I was not here at the beginning of the war. I was in the state at that time. I was very young. And why the war? Because when I left Lebanon for my studies in the United States, I left in, as I said, in 88, and the war was still going on. And when you think of Lebanon, and you leave them, and in your studies, in your research, I read some history books. I wanted my thesis to be about something that is meaningful, where I would learn from it, and at the same time, I am learning art more further. And actually, the chairman of my committee said, "Ghada," that's how they say it, "you've been in a war. Paint on what you know." I said, "Okay." So that was my thesis, and it's my connection, to my land. That was the state of my country.
And how did distance change the way you experienced and portrayed the war?
Well, the distance is good. The distance makes you more, if you want, not a little bit objective, but less raw emotion, less screaming, less why, So it makes you more. You think more. You go back to history. You go back to memory. You go back to feelings. You go back to ethics. You go back to morality. You go back to all these things. That are important. Not just like we were hit today. We were asafna today. It's beyond that, and it's not what people saying on the street.
Mm-hmm. And Ghada, what's so interesting in your practice is that rather than painting soldiers or victims, for example, as you mentioned, you let the landscape or cityscape or architecture speak. What can the land express about war?
Yes, the land, I have very deep connection with the land. Basically, to start with, it has to do with art, because I learned how to paint on my own after I graduated from LAU BUC later on. Before, I went to the land to practice what I learned. So art and land, they became one to me. It was my guidance in my art journey, in my artistic growing up and development.
Mm-hmm. And even in works inspired by war, there's often a sense of beauty.
Yes, the beauty. I cannot give up the beauty. I cannot give up. I cannot not see the beauty.
Even
That
in war?
it is the positive thing. The beauty is the positive thing. It's just like when you think of God and people ask about God. Well, he has to be good. God has to be good. It can't be like describing. You take that as an absolute, goodness. And beauty is good. It's beautiful. It's creation. You cannot not be taken by that. And I think that is the spiritual part of my work when it comes to the land.
And do you feel your work is understood differently by audiences worldwide?
Not well. When a person, there was a person came to my show, and it was my master show, and he thought like, oh my God, abstract expressionism is alive here, and that's all what he thought. And I told him that it is about the war, and his answer was, I feel so white, like as an American, like I didn't even know that expression, you know.
What did he mean by that?
Anglo-Saxon white American, like I only looked at the abstract expression. I did not see the content,
Oh, wow.
of the war, So I, we talked, we had a conversation and so on. But as you said, mostly people see the beauty, but of course there's the art statement, and there's the violence in the work. Look at the painting that we are seeing right now. Oh my God! But also there is a beauty of the paint. There's a beauty of the application, and that I cannot get rid of that. And once in my classes, I think it was Dr. I can't Rifa, and we were talking about uh, um, aesthetic and truth, and he said, well, maybe the biggest truth is when a baby cry. He is so innocent, but that's not aesthetic. That stuck with me. It's not aesthetic, but it is the truth. So there you go.
Okay.
I'm remembering lots of things now. Okay.
And Ghada, you've exhibited internationally.
Yes.
But I would like to focus on your latest installation at Art on 56, which was Point Line Horizon.
Yes.
What was it about?
It was about me to be done with the painting the war. I didn't want to paint the war. There was a change in me, and prior to that, there was this big show for Arab women artists that started in Washington, D.C. And I met so many artists, and my friend, Karen Vosberg, she's an artist, she went with me. So it was like a changing thing for me when I saw all that art. And I remember telling her on the plane, I accept everything.
Wow.
I accept everything, and I'm going to go on from here. And that was a decision for me not to paint war anymore. And when I was given the opportunity to be a visiting artist in the art store, I was also with Carol. She took one side, I took one side. And the place was huge. And I thought, okay, this is my chance to make the biggest piece and finishing that period. So that was a very conscious decision to put that behind. Although it was 1997, like I should know the war is over, but I didn't come to Lebanon all that time. I didn't. I stayed there all the time. I didn't see the changes. I didn't see any of that. So I have let it go.
And Ghada, take me through the creative process.
Yes, the creative process, we started first with the panels. I started with the panels. There were 7 panels. They were wood. They were large. And I think 270 in height by, I don't remember, they were in inches, but that much. Okay. So I attached them to the wall, and I took finished artwork about the war, that I did during my thesis, and I torn them apart, and I distribute them all over the panels, and I said, from here, I'm going to start. So I did. Of course, I prepared everything so they stay alive till now. And then I thought of certain things using gauze, which is shesh in Arabic. That's what we use for healing wounds. So I put it mostly on the sky and on the mountains and on the horizon. And I found I was walking because I stayed there for a month. We were given a month and we were open to the public. So anybody could walk in and see what I'm doing, and I'll tell them about it and tell them about it. Of course, Fairuz was playing the whole time. And I saw this, the bark of a tree, which is like this thick, it's just like the tree is shedding its bark to get a new one. I thought, well, that is great. So I gathered them. I put them in certain area, and I said, also I'm going to put some branches. So these were the material: oil sticks, and charcoal. This is what I used for my to make the piece. Now I don't make any sketches in my work. I don't like to do sketches even for large work, because that will hold me back on what I want to do and what I want to say. I don't want to be tied to anything, even my own first idea. So I go with whatever is there. I make a mark, I react to it. And then I make a mark and I react to it. Of course, we had the painting, so we had to react to them. And I use whatever I learned in art to do it. Of course, memory comes. And the idea of me, because I don't use sketches, I am always looking for beauty, to look for beauty in your own work, to look for something, say, oh my God, that is just gorgeous. I'm going to build around that. So I use point, line, horizon. Point is the point of the emergence, the point of the impact, of point where things start. The line is the trajectory. It's how the events are moving, how they are going. And the horizon, it's the place where the mountains or the buildings, they are just, tangent to the sky, And I found that very spiritual, and I find that very, very, very hopeful. So the idea is that to put everything there. You have the war, you have the beauty, you have what is going on as moving to event. You have the wild, the nature, which we find in the war. You find like, whoa, shajar mabarif, the trees are growing so big. Even they look like, ooh, like monsters, because they shouldn't grow like that, And you are immediately there, you're there. So you try to make it all into one. But the most important thing is the land, is the beauty of the land, is the beauty of Lebanon. It is the age of Lebanon. Lebanon is so old, and it cannot be defined by those, 15 years. It cannot be defined. Nothing can be defined like that, or we should not let it define us. So I did it in 1997, and already, like, we were in peace 7 years. I haven't witnessed it, but we're already there. And it dawned on me, that's another generation, It's not dawn, but it became very clear that this is for our generation and older, and there is a new generation, a new beginning, and the new generation should not hold what we held. They don't have to go through the anger. They don't have to go through the sorrow. They don't have to go through all that hazeb and then forgive. We start from the beginning, like, it's forgotten for me, it's forgiven for me.
Wow.
And because if you don't forgive, you're always holding a grudge. You don't want to hold the grudge. By the way, I never, if something happened in my painting, okay, and I don't like it, so many artists, they go and they put gesso over it and they start again. I refuse to do that. I fight it till the end. Sometimes I throw it in the trash, but the percentage is very low. Like,
But at least you tried.
but at least I pushed it all the way. I like to improvise. I like to. You cannot have something perfect. You have something messy. You have something chaotic, but you work with that and you bring things up. Even in my art, I'm very honest about it. I don't give up. I don't like to give up. It doesn't have to be perfect. You give it your best shot. You know, it's more honest, I think, than what you had in your mind you want it to be.
Wow. Thank you, Ghada, so much for sharing these personal stories. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Best
Glad
of
to
luck.
be here.
Our pleasure.